Imhotep, Imhotep, Imhotep.
What the hell? Hey, dude, snap out of it.
What's going on?
Oh, dude, that guy at the British Museum was really on some shit about those artifacts that we stole.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I didn't steal them. The English did.
Yeah, it's not our fault, really.
Yeah, well, dude, last thing I remember was saying Imhotep a bunch of times and trying to steal the artifacts.
Oh, fuck. Well, but I've been kind of getting into it. I like the Egyptian stuff.
It's really invigorated
fascinating.
my Egyptian metal side.
Absolutely.
know
Hey,
what? Are you having the same as
I have the exact same
Do you want to
policy.
interview Crescent?
Yes,
Dude,
absolutely.
okay, you know what? Let me get in touch with my Egyptian contacts on the hush hush. I'll ask them. I mean, half of them is in Germany, half is in Egypt, but that's fine.
That's
but
fine.
I'll get to the roots. You know,
Let's do it.
Maybe we can get someone
Great
for
band.
Crescent on the band.
Absolutely.
On the band?
On the podcast, even.
Okay, we're
Why
both
not?
of those things. All right, let's see. Hieroglyphics, fellow Citadelians. Today, we're excited to present a very special episode of Heavy Metal Citadel as we welcome the Egyptian gods of metal themselves. We're talking about death metal band Crescent. And we have Ismaeel Attallah. Now, did I pronounce that correctly, by the way? Because I want to get the Arabic names right.
It's a bit of a challenge, but
You
it's
were
fair.
very
Okay.
far, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you started that, so we can.
Okay.
It's
For a
all
while.
downhill.
It's all downhill.
but actually, you're very very close. So
Okay.
yeah,
Can we say marhaban?
marhaban, of course, yeah.
There you
yeah.
go. See?
Welcome
Welcome.
to the Citadel.
And I think if my Arabic serves me correctly, I think your name means "he who hears God."
Yes,
That is
Yes.
a fucking epic name.
Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, most of the Arabic names they have these deep, profound meanings to them. So which makes them actually special.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we don't have that.
No.
Well, you are the lead vocalist, guitarist. You're here in the Citadel. We want to welcome you. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we've got a lot of hard-hitting questions. I'm not going to lie to you, but before we go any further, I've got to ask you, which of the Brendan Fraser Mummy movies was your favorite? 1, 2, or 3? Very serious.
Which of what? Excuse me.
Which of the Mummy movies was your favorite? No.
Brendan Fraser only.
I'm not
no
sure if
Tom
I've
Cruise.
seen them all. I think I bumped into one on cable TV, maybe one, and maybe I've seen some snippets of the second part as well. But I can't really tell which one is what. But some of them were actually not. They had nice scenes. I mean, put on the cheese, but they weren't that bad. Yeah.
Exactly. Imhotep. Those are some really good ones, actually.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Great. So now, for our listeners who don't know Crescent, can you just give them a little bit of a rundown about what the band offers them?
Well, given the whole history of the band, it offers. I can translate our music or describe our music as, of course, epic, very articulate, of course, quite aggressive, yet very melodic. So this is actually always our edge, or this is what I always endeavor in my musical approach. Like I have to have like the balance between the aggressiveness and the melody. So this is what basically Crescent provides, and at the same time, of course, the essence of where we're coming from originally. So of course you could hear the Middle Eastern tunes and or the Eastern tunes, let's say, and that's what signifies Crescent basically.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that light and dark interplay, and even going back to way back, and so I'm sure we'll put a sound effect on here. Right? Can you tell us a little bit more about Edgar Allan Poe's Dreamland and where it all started?
Well, it was in basically in '98. 98/99 in a cold winter night in Cairo.
Where it was 40 degrees.
Actually, well, you need to visit because it's in winter time. It's really fierce cold because we don't have proper insulation at homes. So it could be like it feels like you're in a really huge empty factory where the cold could get like into your bones. So it's like really, really cold.
Sounds
And
like our Citadel. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, exactly. So it's really it's harsh cold. So but anyway, so given the atmosphere, and at that time I was a black metal fanatic, I approached the let's say the second founder or my drummer at that time, my former drummer, and he's actually living close by where I'm living, and we're in the same neighborhood. So I approached him and I was like, man, I have some ideas and I would like to initiate something if you're interested. And I had like a demo tape at that time, just some riffs, and I showed it to him and he was interested, and that's how it started off. So he was actually the one that was fascinated by Edgar Allan Poe at that time. He used to read poetry, and of course we learned Shakespeare and so many things in high school, but he's the one that actually introduced me to Edgar Allan Poe. So I borrowed a little book from him, and it was really interesting. And at that time, I was like, we were embarking on Edgar Allan Poe. Like, wow, this is like really poetic, very dark, and actually that suits our style at that time. So we had this idea, like, how about like having one of the songs inspired by Edgar Allan Poe, and then there was another two songs, and that's we thought it's cool, like having like a whole poetry, and of course a little bit tailored from our side, like yeah, let's take these parts as verses, let's take that part as a chorus, and
Yeah.
it fit, and it was fitting perfectly, and in our opinion. So so that's how it actually came together, all came together.
Brilliant. Yeah. And then, the band continued to evolve, obviously, into what we see today, this behemoth of, riffs. And, we were obviously, we did our homework. We listened to all the albums where we can get them. But can you tell us, why can we not find Pyramid Slaves on Spotify?
Yeah, it's a debut. It's our debut album, and it's a self-release. So
Okay.
so it's not through Listenable Records.
Ah,
And we were just slack, just slack on this. But I it has. I mean, I have my plans for this album because I feel like it I'm doing so much injustice when it comes to this particular album. And we might have some plans to actually remix and remaster this particular record because it carries lots of tense moments
yeah,
and
it's super
very
solid. Yeah.
very solid. Maybe there's lots of over drumming at that time. We were at that time, like, when you like want to like really impress and put all what you've got in your at that time in your mind into the music, but not right now. Growing older and getting more mature in music, like you have to maybe we'll have a little bit of a little editing here and there if we're gonna remix and remaster. I mean, when it comes to the riffs and the drumming, but definitely this requires a second thought about all of these things.
Yeah, I mean, when you're releasing a debut album, you want to put as much of yourself forward as possible. And,
Exactly.
it comes out in the music. And now that you're older, you look back and say, okay, there's some really good stuff there. And then some things I would change nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, some parts I'm like, I would have done it differently right now, but
Mm.
overall, I'm still satisfied with that record, So yeah.
And I think that actually speaks a lot because I mean, you're more mature, like you said now, and looking back on stuff, there's so many artists who are like, oh my God, I can't believe I made that first album sound like that. But the fact that you actually still like it, that just proves how good it is. So
Exactly. And if you had to choose, and this is again going back to the early days, would you choose Storm of the Light's Bane or the Somber Lane? And you can only choose one. And then tell us a little bit more about the significance of dissection in your band's history.
Storm of the Light Spain. I mean, I'm not gonna waste time on this.
Okay, solid. I mean, that's for me, it's also a clear choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a timeless classic. So it's no one should refute this, and no one should have a second opinion about this, because this is like, we're gonna get radical about that. So let's put it this way.
Yeah.
But the significance is definitely, I mean, dissection was it took us, like, the whole group here in Cairo. We are living in Heliopolis, and this is our neighborhood, and it took all the entire group. At that time we were young, and when that came out, we were blown away all together. Like, every single person that I've known at that time, except of course the posers. I'm not gonna talk about yeah, I'm not gonna talk about these people, but I mean, musically, that was a mind-blowing masterpiece that made us all silent and just started, like, really examining and studying that album, you know, because that was, drumming wise, of course, lyrics were good, of course, were also poetic in a way, but the intensity and the melody, of course, this guy was a genius. I mean, hands down. So and that, of course, because, you know, it's not about right now people are like really viewing John as the idol, because of course of his history and committing suicide, so he became like the whole famous guy, you know. Like, I understand that, but he was way appreciated since the beginning for us, you know. Like, it wasn't because of the fame that he committed suicide and all what happened later on that he became like this kind of a legend black metal musician, but we were following him closely since the beginning. And the whole idea is that his music speaks to us because we have the same endeavor in the music. So more or less, I'm not talking specifically about Crescent, but personally, because he does exactly what I like, you know, in music. Like, it really speaks to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And going back to sort of Cairo, I mean, you guys are based there. You're now in Germany, if I'm not mistaken, still in Germany. And how have the last sort of few years treated you? I know when you guys first came over, you said it was a pretty relatively easy transition because you already had connections there. So I'm assuming your connections have only gotten better, bigger in Germany. So I'm curious what the last couple of years has been like.
I'm still in Cairo. I'm the only one that is in Cairo.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But the rest. So the latest members are our bassist Stefan Dietz and our drummer Julian. They are Germans, and the guitarist Yusuf is the one that actually joined like 9 years ago, Crescent, because Crescent was like, you know the history, like, was really, we kept it for a very long time. Of course, there was some hiatus in the middle, but like the journey was too long. So Yusuf, he's the one that migrated to Germany 3 years ago. So that was like a more of a strategic move, to be honest. Like finding the right. There are so many guitarists in Egypt, like you wouldn't imagine, so many. And of course, like, it's very scarce amount of people that are good in drumming, drummers in general, like everywhere else. Like, every drummer is like in a 4 or 5 bands abroad, like in other countries, but in Egypt, like, it's really, really scarce. And bassists, so you could find some bassists or like a guitarist that is trying to being a bass, you know, like, but like,
okay,
like everywhere else,
basis,
you know?
so I'll just switch just to be in a band.
Yeah, exactly. So like, to fill in the blanks. So I thought, like, this is a very good strategy, given that Yusuf is moving to Germany, and we already have I have so many friends in Germany as well, good connections. So I was like, so I could actually move not like the headquarters are in Germany, because I'm still here, you know, but it could, when it comes to the business, when it comes to the exposure of Crescent, definitely we need to have that step forward, because and it came coinciding with the idea that the former band members, they had to leave because Crescent is becoming bigger liability. they need more to have more free time on their hands, and on the other side they have their family, they have their daytime jobs, so it was a little bit difficult to keep up with the pace that Crescent was taking. So I was like, it all came together, like it makes sense. Like I don't care. At the same time, the identity of Crescent is still Egyptian. Maybe we are called right now international, and doesn't really matter to me. So yeah, so we took a step forward, and and I'm saying a step forward because this is what it entails, like more exposure when we approach festivals, when we approach organizers. Like, yeah, we are Germany based and Egypt, so it's so much easier for us logistically, and that's how it all came together.
Right. Okay. And so in terms of that sort of now German link to it, and you guys have been around for a while, has Crescent's sound sort of evolved a little bit more in a different way that you wouldn't have expected to, or has it just really stuck and maintained sort of that essence of its ancient Egyptian roots? Because I mean, you're there, like the pyramids are in your backyard, you have all that influence, but then some of the parts of the band are also in Germany, so they might get leaks from different bands saying like, this is kind of cool, let's try this, let's go on this maybe avenue and change things up a little bit.
Maybe we're going to explore this in the future, because up till now I'm the sole composer. I write every single riff, so we haven't done this yet, but of course I'm welcoming totally that. So maybe in the future, hopefully.
Bit of Oompa music from Bavaria influence.
Bavarian ancient Egyptian, so that would be like bizarre, like, but actually interesting as well. So we don't know, and at the same time, it's not like everybody's situated in their own places, so you just have like a whole fingerprint of Bavarian metal. It's not about, so of course, like, but it's always interesting to have different interpretations, given that for example, Stefan is a proper musician, where he has been playing in other bands for like so many years, so of course also probably his interference or his contribution will be appreciated, like, so we were actually discussing this, and we'll see where this will lead us to.
Mm-hmm. Great. And this latest album that came out, Carving the Fires of Akhet, it's been really highly praised. I mean, obviously very mature sound. It's developed to the point where you could see where the vision truly is. Can you share a little bit of the insights into the themes behind this album? And actually the question behind the themes as well is, how do you balance historical accuracy with creative expression within these themes of the album?
Oh wow!
Do you want another question? I don't think that question was loaded enough for you.
I mean, if you have like 15 minutes, then we can.
Yeah. Oh, plenty of time.
Okay, so let me answer the second question first regarding the accuracy, the historical accuracy. So it is very, of course, very accurate, because we have the references, and we based these the titles of the tracks and the events based on actual history, and of course it's not like in every single track with every single subject. So the interesting part is, which I actually adore, is that the idea between the human beings and the deities. So like they actually really worship that, or whatever reason. So like, if you want to put it, if it's a political thing, or if they really believed in it, or if it was like more of a very hypocritical thing from the rulers, whatever the the actual reason were, but they actually worshipped those gods. So the relationship between having a certain deity for something specific was really intriguing to me, and of course it has been always like that since we were kids, because we also we were taught in schools like the different families and gods and everything. So what I'm trying to say is, of course, some of the songs is like discussing actual events, but at the same time, calling upon certain deities and gods in a battlefield. Like this is how we twist some of these parts, you know, like for example, Auto Kaddish. So I've read some parts where it says like every single Egyptian warrior was, of course it's a myth, was transformed to be Montu, like the god with the big horns, like in the battlefield. So you can imagine, like, so I put these ideas in my mind, and I just start to imagine these cinematic views, you know, like and try to put that and integrate it in my music and in my writing. So so it could be like Kaddish was an actual battle, but at the same time that tiny detail where it puts all the spices and it gets us as metal as like so excited about it, like what the hell, like all bulls like as warriors. Of course, like it could be a bit childish for some, for so many people, but like trying to imagine it in a proper way, or in a really dramatic way, that gives it the whole, you know, the whole spirit, you know. So
Yeah, I could see that. It's very much like, Hellenic black metal as well. You have this deep well of mythology to draw from, but
exactly.
a lot of mythology is just kind of what happened and how they viewed it and what kind of spin they put on it. So,
Exactly. Yeah. So
it's so much stories to tell there.
exactly. So portraying all of that together in a very coherent way, will it like have a whole body of work or a whole body of art in one song? This is what we are about, you know. So so the accuracy in historically, yes, it's actual events, but of course, like we have our own, you know, like twists and turns in how we visualize everything. Excuse me, can you repeat the first question again?
I was
Because
There
gonna
was
say,
like four of them.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
in the theme itself. So, what was the theme itself?
so the theme of specifically about the last
Yes.
record, or
Yeah.
yeah, the theme of course was more of it has like a chronological order. So, but also in our own way somehow. But historically, it can follow that chronological milestones. You know, so but not also like we could have maybe depending on the song. So we tackled some milestones, and then afterwards there were others, but doesn't have to be like exactly like it's not 1 2 3 4, probably 1 3 5, like that, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's regarding the historical succession. And of course some of the songs are more direct regarding if there was a certain battle, or if there was a certain ruler. But at the same time, there are some other songs that could connect somehow the first and the third. So the second could be something that is a little bit philosophical, but it goes hand in hand with what's going on through the entire album. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was the idea.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm curious, is anyone in the band actually like an Egyptian historian at this point? Like, do you just grow up and you sort of discuss this vast, rich history of Egypt? Or did you?
Yeah, we do. Because you know, when we were taught in schools, we weren't really taught the religion or the because even the myths, there are so many myths that are a bit childish, you know, like they would be like Horus is racing with Set in a boat made of stone, and then he's sunk, you know, like it's like really
Yeah. To
like
teach them a
what
lesson.
Don't-
Never
yeah.
get in a boat with Set.
Yeah, or don't make a boat out of stone.
Out of stone, exactly, you know, like something like that. I can't even recall exactly, but even I'm like, yeah, what am I supposed to write about this, you know, like it's totally pointless and childish. But but in schools we were of course taught like the 30 families throughout the history of ancient Egypt, so we're very familiar with the history. But of course, like the self-taught things regarding religion, regarding the Book of the Dead, the different deities and everything, we just read about it, and we actually exchange like, Ismaeel, this is a cool idea. How about we write about that? And then I keep and check all the references, and I see what could actually be of an interest to me, so I can be able to express myself. And then if others would appreciate what I wrote musically and lyrically, then it's cool, you know. So that's how it's that was the process basically.
Brilliant. And as you look forward to future live shows, performing, all these albums, are there any specific countries or festival that Crescent aspires to play in?
We still want to go to Summer Breeze. There are so many. But I'm personally not a huge fan of big festivals, because I like the intimacy of the crowd. So, for instance, we played in Bloodstock in 2019.
Yeah, I think it was 2019.
Yeah. The sound was terrible, man. It's because we didn't have our own sound engineer, and the sound was terrible. So it did so much. I mean, I didn't like it at all. But anyway, afterwards, after that show in Bloodstock, we performed in Camden in Underworld. And at that time, we were opening up for Deicide. And at that time, I was
Christian,
like
I think it was. Yeah.
Sorry?
It was with Christian, that one, wasn't it? It was Deicide and Christian.
Yeah, exactly. And at that time, I was like having like the time of my life, because I enjoy this, because I haven't really experienced that exactly the same even in Cairo, but because the venue is like super tight, super cozy, and everybody's like shoulder to shoulder. You could feel the body heat of the people, and like the
We're
crashes
familiar
of
with
the
that
drums
venue,
are like,
yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, they were like hitting my back, because they had a drum set of, I think there were 2 drum sets, so there weren't much space around me, and I couldn't even move, and I was like even worried that I could hit somebody from the front row,
Yeah.
with my boots, so
Yeah.
I was like really self-aware of my position, but at the same time, I loved the atmosphere. I loved that. So and it like really, you speak to the people, and they return back the energy. That's what I like. Of course, festivals are extremely important. Like, I wouldn't say no to any of the good names, but this is what I really enjoy, like smaller venues, 500 capacity. This is what I really enjoy.
Absolutely. Well, maybe, yeah, the underworld's pretty great, but that one pillar is absolutely annoying in the middle.
That pillar.
Oh, I always get stuck behind the pillar.
Some great shows there, but
Oh, really?
Yeah, like there's another pub / venue called the Black Heart. I don't know if you know it in London.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot smaller, but
Yeah.
it's just like literally just
Could
flat
barely
open.
see the band.
You have to fight to see the band, but it's just that intimate. Like, you can feel everyone's sweat, and it just makes it that much more epic.
Yeah. And
As long as they're using deodorants, I'm fine. But
that's the important thing.
Yeah.
If you were putting on like one of these small shows and you had unlimited money, what would you do with it in the show? Would you bring more props? Obviously, we'd want to get the best sound possible.
We're talking like Iron Maiden, Rammstein.
Yeah, or maybe you do a stadium set or something like that. So how would you, if you had a limited money, what would you do with the live show differently?
I like this question, because that puts an unlimited possibilities, of course. But I mean, and you have to be really super careful with what you need to do, because you don't want to cross over to be cheesy. But
Exactly.
And definitely, I'm not gonna get a belly dancer on stage. Like, this is but yeah, I mean, it could be cheesy, but it really depends on the aesthetics of how you want to portray it. Like, if you have like really huge pyramids behind you, like if you want to like really bring, like, you feel like you're in a temple or something.
Atmosphere.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, Maiden, they did it, so like.
Yeah.
But it depends on the cartoon board and how it's being drawn, and the idea of how it's being, because Maiden, at the end of the day, they are a bit cartoonish, like
absolutely,
how it's supposed to be. But of course, like I could imagine like a huge temple with huge columns, or if there's colossal background of pyramids with sand dunes or whatever. But of course, like it really depends on how you're going to, execute it. Like,
Yes.
in a very
I was gonna say, like, if if it were up to me, I really like how Batushka, I mean the real Batushka,
Okay,
how Batushka
just
does
checking.
it. Yeah, how Batushka does it because they take like the elements of literally being in Orthodox church and they
Mhm.
take that sort of, you know, black metal spin on it and they make it a little bit more, not necessarily satanic, but definitely darker. So I
Yeah,
would
of course.
fucking love to see something like that. Like you're,
Yeah,
you know, seeing like a ceremony, like an ancient Egyptian ceremony. Oh,
exactly. I mean, that would be perfect. I mean,
I would also fill the venue with a small layer of sand that everyone has to walk through.
yeah.
yeah, everybody will be coughing after all. So, but it's definitely we put more emphasis on the lights, on the sound, how it can be improve in a way, you know, like because we don't have that, you know, it requires another budget, and we're very tight on such things. So
Yeah,
yeah,
fair.
that's what I'm thinking, and yeah, I'm just trying, you know, like I'm always very careful with these ideas, like trying to put it in a nice way, but
Mhm.
it's definitely something in that direction.
Agreed. And so, you're playing these shows, you've got a low dedicated fan base. I think the metal fan base in general, Blackened Death Metal, they're very passionate. So how do you connect with your fans? Do you like to chill with them after the show, or do you just want your peace of mind afterwards? What's the best way that Crescent connects with its fans?
Well, I have to run to the shower because I get a bit sweaty, so I'm like I need to, you know, to refresh. But of course, like, you know, like sometimes right after the show you might like just have to catch a few minutes, and then I get off the venue, and then I return back and chat with people, you know, and maybe stand next to the merch booth or whatever, because this is where I might meet someone that might want to talk, you know. I love socializing, but it really depends. Like if I have the energy, the mental energy, not like the physical, like I have the energy, like the capacity that I can speak to people, then I'm definitely welcoming always, all of us. Like we're a bunch of really friendly people. So even the Germans. So
Even the
They have a
Germans. Yeah.
great sense of humor from what I've been told.
absolutely, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah, so in terms of the album artwork, which I fucking love, very captivating, evocative. How do you sort of approach the visual aspect and make sure that it actually complements the music and sort of conveys the essence of each album? Because like you just said, like you don't want to go into a cartoonish avenue with stuff, but you still want to portray sort of the visual essence of the music.
About the carving the fards of Achet.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was actually the guitarist's idea. So he thought like maybe this really ancient relic, because it has been like, I don't know, 4,500 years old, that relic of Narmer. That's the first king of Egypt that unified the lower and upper Egypt. And it holds somehow like a special place in his heart. Like, and of course, like we're all acquainted. We all know it very well. Like if you see it like while you're a little bit half asleep, you this is Narmer, you know, like you know it for by heart, you know. So it's like, how about we bring it in a different with a different visual to it, you know? So we thought like, yeah, so maybe Renaissance art could fit, because we wanted to have it this, we want to give it this refreshing aesthetic and view, and at the same time we wanted to have like really want to put the the real drama to it, you know. So of course, we have been seeing like the different artists, various artists in the metal scene, and we liked Case Dictator's artwork. So we thought like this could be a good idea. So uh, I approached Case Dictator, and I told him about my idea, and then we discussed every detail. So and that where the magic actually was lying, because you need to like really be very specific on what you and how you can have it without also being crossover to be cheesy. So for instance, when it comes to Horus, so I had the idea in my mind, like I asked him, like, I want Horus to be flying, carrying a dead body, but at the same time, I don't want to have his legs showing because it would look a little bit stupid. I sometimes draw myself, and I used to paint when I was younger, before I got more into music, and I dedicated myself to music. So I have the visual ideas in my mind, and I can imagine how things will turn out to be. Of course, because the briefing is really, really important between the musician and the painter or the artist. So if you give like a really detailed, and you have all the attention of the details in your briefing to the artist, then you can 90% can reach what you really are looking for at the end of the day. So he was very intricate, and I was very specific with my details. So that was the outcome. So I told him I want Horus to be like that. I want him to look exactly like that. I want the positioning of Narmer to look like that, with the dead bodies under him. And then he added, of course, his touch. And then I also had the idea of having the wing of Horus like really part of the horizon. Like you don't see his right wing is not really
it's falling.
Exactly. So it's like part of the horizon, and the horizon is Akhet. Akhet means it's one of the god Ra names, which translates to burning at the horizon. So it's all coming together in the artwork, the name, the title, and the visual aspect of it.
Wow. Yeah, no, I love it.
And I think it's a good explanation, because you wouldn't know that if just by looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. To dissect it like that.
Yeah, it's
really
helpful.
We didn't really do anything arbitrary. So we were like really, and this is what makes it, I really hate to put parallels with music or any sort of art with cooking, because somebody's like saying, I'm cooking something up, like you're gonna like it, the meaning behind that is that when you cook something and you like really put your heart into it, like taking the time until it's cooked well, you could differentiate the good records and the good pieces of art when you see it. Like, you will know that those people, they put all their hearts into it, and they know what they're doing. It's not like just that riff sounds evil, or that let's put this transition because it shows like it was superficial, and it's not, and it's exactly, so it's shallow or whatever. But when you give it like a second or third, and you think about it, and you sleep on it, and you wake up and you rethink about it again, this is something that took the effort, the mental the mental effort, your thoughts and everything into it.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love how even the wings, I think, are better because they're curved downwards, and it gives it like a more dimensional feel, as opposed to just sort of the generic wings out everywhere. But no, I love it. I love it. As musicians with a very long-standing history in the metal scene, how do you feel the genre's evolved? I mean, you guys have been around for a while. You've seen sort of different changes and maybe trends and stuff like that. And where do you see it sort of heading in the future going forward?
Well, I'm honestly, at this point of time, I'm not really thinking about it that much, because I'm still in Cairo. So the situation in Egypt is horrible by all means. So I'm quite distracted at the moment, given the status of the country, unfortunately, which is it's heartbreaking. So it kind of also distracts me somehow of seeing what the future will hold for Crescent. But like I'm trying to give Crescent also like when I come up with some pieces or bits of pieces, like I try to like save these ideas, and sometimes, just a couple of weeks ago, it turned out like I finished like whole passages, like really big chunks of music, and that was even surprising to me. Like I was like, oh wow, so I have these ideas, and I don't want to stitch things together, because that would make it so cheap, but I have good foundations. Let's put it this way. So and then I'll bring it forth to the band members, and see where this will evolve, and then later on how the actual final shape will look like. So, but this has also been the process. Like I finished most of the songs, and there could be like just 5% editing probably in the studio, or if somebody tells me, Lal, just let's just add another musical bar here, and or let's make this transition is a little bit harsh, let's make it a little bit softer, whatever, or vice versa, whatever. So but more or less the foundations are there, and I have like the whole overview of things.
Amazing. And you've mentioned a couple of interesting tidbits there about cooking, about painting. Do a lot of the people in the band have other artistic or creative endeavors outside of the music itself?
Yeah, Julian is a cook.
That's a spicy meatball.
Oh, there you go.
And well, Stefan is vegan, so he's not a cook for sure.
He's a gatherer.
He's a gatherer.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
Do you still paint as well?
I'm actually planning to return back to that, because I being in my age at the moment, and having the stress in Cairo specifically, it's a very chaotic city. When I got back just by chance, I had some free time, and I was like, yeah, how about, because I get a little bit disappointed in myself. I haven't been practicing for so many long years, and of course, like, my hand is not accurate as it used to be when I was in high school. But when I tried it like a couple of months ago, I thought it had like a quite different experience to me. Like at that time, back then, you didn't care about the world. Your parents were supporting you, so you were just drawing because you were talented. But today, when you do it as a favor for yourself. So that actually relaxes me. Like, I have like so much meditation and relaxation while I'm drawing. And I think, and at that, in this part of the world and in my age, I really need that relaxation from time to time.
Yeah, I think we all do.
So I think it could be a good motivation for me to start again, just getting back to old me somehow.
Perhaps even we could see you paint the cover for the new album then.
Oh,
I won't compete with the
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah. Actually, I drew. I'm not sure if you have seen it, but one of our emblems. So it's like the crescent with the two serpents and an upside down burning pyramid with all the details inside.
Is this on the new shirt design that was posted a while
Yeah,
back?
that was my design and my drawing. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I love that shirt. I mean, if you had if there's any kind of piece of merch that you'd want to release that you haven't yet, is there something that you'd want to do as well? Maybe, some, I don't know,
I mean, I don't know
pendants or
yeah, I don't know if you're gonna go full behemoth and start making your own coffee, but I would buy it.
yeah.
Yeah, Behemoth, they have so many, like, enormous amounts of shirts and designs, and yeah, I think we will have some few designs, like not really something super busy designs. It's like very simplistic, which also suits the Blackened Death style, in a way, like our way. So we will have a new T-shirt coming out, and that's gonna be for the coming shows. And probably that emblem that I was telling you about, like we had it on patch, and probably we might make it on a T-shirt as well, because there were some people that were actually asking for it. That's basically it, unless of course we come up with other ideas.
I look forward to it.
Cheers.
A couple of fun questions coming up, but I did want to ask, do you have a particular sort of element or event that's your favorite from ancient Egypt? Anything really, something that you're just like, yeah, I could talk about this moment in history forever.
Well, Thothmes III, that was an outstanding warrior and ruler. So he's like really, like, the bravery and the will that he had was immense. Like I can imagine, like, he was a very strategic warrior. Like, he could put all the the planning, like how you see it today in like not in wars, but I mean in any kind of a conflict setting where you want to free your country, and it's not like only about muscles, but also he had the brains, you know. So it's like he's like a full-fledged warrior, like he knows what he was doing, and he was able to be like, he was the leader, he was the warrior, he was everything, you know. So that is really inspiring, you know. Not that I'm pro any kind of wars, of course, as an artist, but I'm just saying like it resonates something to me, you know. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask this question as well, but I think you already answered it. But if you could be either Ra or Set in terms of becoming a god, who would you be? Would you be the more mischievous guy, you know, starting little problems and storms and disorders, or would you be more like Ra and just
Yeah, I mean the world is dying anyway, so I can be Set, so I can just finish up everything.
Yeah.
It's getting boring, and we need to just get this over with, you know. So yeah.
Really, and I mean, just going back to Cairo, you know, I do have a friend from there. They said, you know, go enjoy the beaches or the resorts. There's not much in Cairo. Obviously, there's the pyramids. Is it true that you could actually see the pyramids from the local Pizza Hut?
that's like the one thing that keeps popping up on
Yeah,
Google. It's
it
so
does.
stupid.
Were you saying like there aren't many resorts, or are there many resorts?
So there's many resorts, but
Yeah, of course.
would
Yeah,
you
yeah.
recommend people to, you know, go to Cairo outside? Obviously, there's things to see, but you know, is there a place that maybe it's off the beaten path
Yeah.
that people should see in Cairo?
Metalhead specifically. So I don't know. I don't know if there's like an underground bar or club or
Yeah,
something.
that the government doesn't know about.
Government doesn't know about.
Unfortunately, there isn't. Unfortunately, we don't have any kind of, like, the bars are all for the people that are into electronic music and you know, hip hop and stuff like that. So, and it's not like designated for that kind of music. So we have like some venues that they play various music. So you might have jazz, blues, and then suddenly you have like all the people are like on pills and jumping on techno music or whatever, you know. So that scene is actually pretty strong, which is
That's surprising, yeah.
and I'm jealous, you know. So but I mean, because we don't have that room, of course. So given I haven't been to Pizza Hut, because I like Pizza Hut, although I'm so against fast food, but I like Pizza Hut in particular. That is one of my guilty pleasures.
Do they serve fatir baladi? I pronounced that right.
He's like laughing at the pronunciation.
Fatir Baladi in Pizza Hut?
Yeah.
Yeah, do they do that?
No, they don't. I mean, but that's a good idea.
It's Egyptian pizza, you know?
Yeah,
Why wouldn't they do
exactly.
that?
Yeah. It's actually very greasy, if you ask me. Have you tried it in the UK?
I haven't. No. But I think if it's greasy, there's not that fits in perfect with Pizza Hut.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do that, you just need to run like 10 kilometers, you know, afterwards. So it's yeah. Yeah, it's there is a Pizza Hut in front of the pyramids. I mean, but of course it's not it's not criminally inside the premise for sure. But you know, but it's outside. So because you have so many views from outside, I could show you a picture after our call. Like I was standing in a front yard in one of the nice hotels, like fancy hotels, and it's like full of green fields and you know, nice trees, and then in the background, the pyramids plateau. So it's like you could have a total different view depending on where you're standing, because of course, like the whole spectrum is huge, you know. So but yeah, we do have Pizza Hut. We might need to call Virtsum to get his job done with Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
He had all these nationalistic ideas. Places that I could recommend. Well, honestly, my favorite cities are Luxor and Aswan in south of Egypt, because they have all the temples, amazing landscapes. Of course, like very, very shitty government, because what we have in Egypt is like those two cities are like just open museums. So open air museums, like you would walk and then you enter a temple. Of course, you're gonna pay, but entering a temple that is 3,000, 4,000 years old, course not in a pristine status, but it's mind-blowing. It's really mind-blowing. And I've been there, of course, when I was a kid with my family, but I visited 3 years ago, actually before Corona, and I was blown away because I'm like, after all the reading and everything and being educated about our own history, and then seeing these all the carvings on the walls and everything, that was for me so captivating, to be honest. So I would definitely, for all the Egyptian history fanatics, I would definitely recommend Luxor and Aswan. I'm sure everybody knows about them, but given the nature of us metalheads, just go in winter, because summer would be hell. You wouldn't stand that. I mean, I can't. I sweat like a pig, and I can't stand the heat. But in winter, it's beautiful. You can, for example, you go into the season of the winter solstice, and it's beautiful because the sun is situated in a certain whole way every year at that exact time. It's captivating. It's really something, you know.
Amazing.
And wow. I wish that this stupid government would give it like the proper, you know, like the proper management to give it what it really deserves, you know.
That's right.
Well,
I think all we have is Stonehenge, really. It's not.
Yeah, some other stuff. But
I've been to the Stonehenge, and I'm sorry, guys, I was a bit disappointed.
Yeah, I know.
It's a bunch of rocks in an open field.
Yeah.
But I appreciate how ancient it is, you know, like, because it has its mystery, you know. But I'm glad I didn't pay, because I was outside of the fence.
Yeah.
Just get some binoculars. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then I had like this photo where you couldn't really see the fence, so I won 100%.
I was there.
Perfect. Yeah.
God, I just want to take a moment and appreciate that I take something off my bucket list by asking Crescent about Pizza Hut at the pyramids. Like, that's my interview highlight. I did want to ask though, because you said basically, you know, there's quite a lot of turmoil in Egypt. If metalheads are going over, is there anything they shouldn't do?
We have
like,
lots
can
of
we wear our satanic?
Lots of harassment, unfortunately. So for girls, for ladies, they need to watch out. No mini skirts, no things like that. I don't know, we're like becoming Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is not becoming Saudi Arabia itself, you know, like it's really crazy. But this is all because ignorance. It's not because of, you know, ignorance is really could damage so many things. So just be careful with the outfits.
Leave our battle skirts at home then.
Yeah, no battle skirts. Okay.
No battle skirts, exactly. And maybe grab some white t-shirts, because the sun can be scorching, you know, so it's better to wear white. You could still have your behemoth white t-shirt, it's okay.
Yeah, there'll be a colorway for that.
Yeah, it can remain metal, don't worry. And sunblock, of course. But definitely, if you're planning to do sightseeings or any kind of visit, it has to be through an agency, like not on your own, because people don't really speak English that well. You don't need to deal with with cab drivers, or of course the transportation is poor, you know, like it's not really up to the level of, you know, unfortunately. So I'm more of a privileged person that I have my own car, you know. So but if you're gonna rely on the public transportation, then it's not that great, you know. So it's
okay.
Yeah, so definitely through an agency, a travel agency, and they plan the entire program and everything, and you can just be on your own and
just let along like another one, like another camel, and just go along with everything.
I like how this is turning into like a travel podcast.
Travel Egypt.
Yeah, and maybe work a little bit on your Arabic, because they try to snatch whatever penny out of your pocket. So, so you need to be very careful with that, because they are gonna be like, I want a picture with the camel, so $20, you know, like just for
wow,
minimum.
Yeah,
it's $30.
They're crazy. Even with me, you know, sometimes they think I'm a foreigner or whatever, and yeah, they have their ways, you know, they have their tricks, so you just need to be careful.
Oh, we're from Eastern Europe. We know all about people.
Absolutely.
Trying to get money out
of you. And is there any kind of bands that are active in Egypt right now that you want to give a shout out to that are maybe less well known, you know, abroad?
Well, there are good newer generation bands that are coming up, surfacing. You know, it's really doesn't necessarily mean that I like their music or that I'm a big fan or whatever, but just the idea that people are still exerting an effort, so that is appreciated by itself, you know, so on its own. So there's a band from Alexandria called Mythos, Mythos. They're doing well, and I think they have a promising future. There's a band that won the Metal Battle of the Bands for Wacken, and they are traveling to Wacken. This probably they traveled by now. They're called Erasing Mankind. So these bands are like metalcore, deathcore. So it's
Got it.
out of, you know, like completely out of my.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, same with us. But you know, as long as
Yeah,
the metal
it's,
message is being spread out, and
exactly. And maybe I'm the old-fashioned guy like that doesn't understand what they're doing, and I'm just like the old booper, you know, like I don't know, but yeah, I mean boomer, but I mean I have to shout that out, those names, because they're doing a great effort, and maybe they can be heard by people that appreciate that subgenre, you know. So yeah.
No, fair enough.
yeah,
Fair enough. And you know, you've said in the past that there are obvious sort of cultural, religious restrictions, let's say, on what you can do and what you can't do, especially like with a live performance. So do you find this like a really big hindrance when doing live, or even like wanting to promote the band itself, or do you feel like it's a necessary thing that we have to sort of maintain within the social structure, let's say?
Yeah, well, of course, if I was Watain, then I'm gonna totally refuse that, you know, because I want my altar and I want my rituals and all of that. But for me, I'm trying to play it smart. I know where I am, and it's either you know, as I said, if I was 18 years old, I'll be totally rebellious, and I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm not gonna conform or whatever, you know. But given my age today and how I see things for what they really are, and being realistic about things, then I need to play it smart if I want to continue being a musician in this part of the world, you know. So unfortunately, I'm saying that because Egypt was so progressive in the 60s. Like, it's incredibly crazy, you know, like really progressive. Like, we were the leaders of the whole peninsula, Arabic Peninsula, Northern African countries, and I mean, our cinema was. That's why everybody understands the Egyptian dialect, the colloquial Egyptian Arabic dialect, because this is what everybody's used to. You know, like they looked forward to that, they looked up for that. I mean, including of course the universities and everything. So everybody would be going to the Cairo University to be to graduate from the university. So it breaks my heart again to say these things of the current status of the country. So I need to reflect on the givens, and the givens are I have to have like more of a tamed show. So it's okay. I can tailor the show. You know, it's fine. I don't have to put a corpus painting. It's okay. You know. So I don't do it either way. So that's good. I like to be who I am. But maybe like we wouldn't put like a certain banner backdrop on stage or something, and that's it. That's not really. Maybe when we have like, you know, the incense, burning incense and golden bowls, and you just have this whole intro that could be a little bit intimidating for people. So it's okay. I can edit that somehow. I can tailor it. I don't see it. It will. Of course, it takes a little bit of the aesthetics of the atmosphere, but at the same time, when you like in the middle of the show, you're completely indulged in what we're doing, then you might forget about these snippets. You know, it's fine.
Yeah. And would you like if you went all out, if you did like a Watain thing, would you get in like serious shit? And given the fact that, you know, you're Egyptian, would I'm assuming they would take it more to heart than if it was like a foreigner, because they would just kick them out, I guess.
You mean if I want to, like, if I had like no limitations?
No limitations. Yeah. Would you get in like really deep shit then?
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, but I mean, again, I'm not going to sacrifice, you know, like virgins. So it's like I'm not gonna do this, but maybe something in that aesthetic, you know, like, because it could have endless possibilities, you know.
Hmm.
Or
I
live
didn't even think
mummification on
about that.
stage. Yeah.
Mummification, yeah. So it's yeah, maybe there are certain things that can be really interesting when it comes to the visuals of the performance, because at the end of the day, we call ourselves performers. It's just only musicians. You are supposed to entertain people, you know.
Hmm.
I'm not a great entertainer, to be honest. I'm more focused on the music and the tightness of the output and how massive we sound on stage and everything. But of course, these additions are very important, because this is what makes you not recognized in a better way, but it puts you up to the game, you know, like
Yes.
it levels you up, you know. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and sort of having said that, with sort of Europe and I guess the Western world in general, like paganism, all of these more sort of traditional cultural elements and beliefs have been sort of sprouting up. And I mean, you essentially see sort of the Judeo-Christian ideology. They basically see it as like a false or like a lie to their original peoples or their original culture. And they're sort of going back towards that sort of, like Viking culture, or pagan nomads and all that stuff is more and more popular. Would you say that there's sort of an element of that in Egypt, like where there's maybe like an alternative underground culture where they're like, no, I'm not modern Egyptian. I'm an ancient Egyptian person. I'm going to name my son after like an
there
old,
could be there could be.
yeah.
I'm not sure if there is many in Egypt, but there could be some people that are uh, I don't want to say occultists or that sort of thing, but maybe following a certain ideology when it comes to ancient Egypt and believing in that, you know. So and for us, I'm not sure if you have seen the whole mummy parade when they were transferring the mummies from the old Cairo museum to the
Sounds
new grand museum.
amazing.
No, that sounds amazing.
I would like. I'm gonna look this up right afterwards.
Look it up on YouTube because it's really interesting. And what really fascinated me is that because we are, after all, our lyrics is pagan, you know, it's sheer pagan, and suddenly when I watched that live, and they had like this opera singer that is basically did exactly what we did exactly before what we did by 2 weeks, because carving the Fars of Ahad came out after that parade by 2 weeks, and she was singing in um, ancient Egyptian language, which is demotic, and like an opera singer with a nice fancy dress, and she's singing to the gods, like in front of everybody live. So it's like, that's really good. So nobody can call me, you know, like a Satan worshiper or a paganist, because I've had the
Pretty
same
metal.
exact endeavor, but in the metal world, you know. So so that was like somehow assuring and at the same time ironic, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got two more questions. I don't want to keep you, but it just in.
Yeah, sorry about any background noise. I just have some
No, you're good. We're
maintenance and other of the flats. So yeah.
all good. Two more questions. I did want to ask you something. The Giza pyramid. I want your opinion as a professional, let's say. Did the aliens build it? I'm sorry, I just do not believe that anyone can do it 15 to 30 years, which is what the scholar.
Oh, his face.
He's just like, yeah, because I'm just.
The interview ends here.
You idiot!
Yeah, it's done.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I'm just uh say swearing words. So what do you want me to say? Like,
Okay, lastly, yeah, give us a glimpse into what the future holds for Crescent. Upcoming projects, collaborations, albums, surprises, tours, anything exclusive that you want to let the people know about.
yeah, so we have 3 upcoming shows that I'm excited about. I haven't been to Europe for a whole year right now, so I'm looking forward. So we're starting off with a show in Belgium you can look it up on Facebook and on Instagram. We share all the details, the event and everything, with all the address and the organizers. So we have a show on the 22nd of September in Belgium, and then the 23rd in the Netherlands. with Bloodfest. We're headlining that 1-day fest.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then we are going to join forces in Germany on the 18th of October with like really, really great names. So in Mainz. So that's close to Frankfurt somehow, like 1 hour from Frankfurt. So looking forward reconvening with the guys and putting up some the stress relief in the coming shows.
Oh, great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
check of course the events and everything. We have all the details, like we shared everything.
Epic.
Sorry, that's regarding the activities,
Yeah.
the show activities. But regarding the music, I actually put like a whole solid song, which is good, I think. And I'm just maybe I'm going to work on refining ideas and see what the guys will also have to as a feedback on that piece of music and see where it can also be how it can be refined, how if it's going to be like reshaped in a certain way just to have it like how we can be satisfied with. So there are some, as I told you, there are some foundations, good chunks of music pieces. I don't know where this will lead to eventually or when, I have no idea. But it all depends on if we are satisfied with what we do, then we're gonna present it and share it with the rest, with the people.
Okay. And
Right.
any last words for the fans? What they should be doing in terms of getting merch and albums?
Yeah, what's the best way to support you guys
Gotta
at the
support
moment?
the band, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And well, I just reach out to the nearest booking agencies, ask for Crescent shows, and
Got
of course buy merch. But
Yeah, new shirts.
if
New
There we
if
shirts.
you
go.
like it, but of course we want to play more shows. I personally want to go to the UK again. I don't think it wasn't enough, like because we're more situated in Germany, and I want to spread out more in Western Europe, so
Yeah.
um
We'll
so yeah,
welcome you with open arms.
Yeah.
cheers. Thank
Maybe
you so
not the
much.
underworld, but we'll see. Come
Yeah.
on back.
No, definitely. I mean, you guys are totally welcomed here. Just that I give you the tips and tricks when and where, and
Yeah, exactly.
definitely as metalheads, then we can have our couple of drinks after you visit some cool sites. So
Excellent.
Amazing.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna put that in. Awesome, man. Thank you so much for doing the interview. Really appreciate you. And how do you say thank you? Shukran.
shukran, exactly.
Ah, look
Now
at that.
you guys are really familiar with so many words. That's that's
Yeah, we
impressive.
didn't Google Translate this at all. We actually we're
We
studying.
practiced about
We're
10
very
hours.
we're very good about that.
I don't know
Hour per
I
word.
don't know how I can believe that, but that's okay.
Awesome, man.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
All right.
much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Cheers. Thank you, guys.